welcome back to my channel. Hope you are all doing well. Today I am filming from Hot Springs, Arkansas. I am in a hotel. I am in a you get what you pay for hotel. I'm not pleased so far. It's clean, but it's pretty junky. And I've been locked out of my room once so far with a bucket of ice, and I was not pleased. But anyway, I'm kind of a snob. But I am out of the heat, and we made it. It's 4 hours from my house to get here to Hot Springs. My daughter is attending a ministry camp, and so I brought her up here, and I was just gonna turn around and drive back home again to 8 hours. I was like, it'll be fine. I can listen to BookTube all the way home. But my husband was like, no, I think you should stay there. He's like, you would enjoy a weekend to read and write and think and make videos and just eat snacks and be by yourself and quiet. And he also wanted me to be close in case my daughter needed something. So I agreed to come and stay, and I don't know why I didn't want to. Last year I came and stayed here while she went to the ministry camp, and I stayed in a really cute hotel. I stayed in a historic hotel downtown. The reason I didn't stay there this time is because the parking, I ended up paying $140 to park there, because every time you left the parking garage, which was terrifying, junky parking garage, let me just say, every time you left that parking garage, you had to pay $25 to get back in again. There was no better system. So I paid so much money for this parking garage just to stay at this really neat historic hotel downtown. So this time I was like, I'm going to stay in just a regular run-of-the-mill mainstream hotel, so I have free parking and I don't have all that mess. So I'm not doing anything fun and historic. I'm doing no studies. I am doing no archaeological unearthing of historical facts and trivia about Hot Springs, Arkansas. I'm just sitting in this hotel room, reading books, writing things, making videos, eating snacks, staying out of the 100-degree heat, and waiting for Sunday to come so I can go get my daughter and go home. Actually, I'm really hoping for a good weekend. I think it will be relaxing. I don't know why I didn't want to stay. I don't, and I still kind of don't, but the thought of getting in the car right now and driving home at 7 p.m. Yeah, I'm not doing that either. So it's gonna be fine. Anyway, so I've got about 25 books here, no joke, and 6 journals, and I'm just gonna make the best of it. It's gonna be great. So, but tonight I wanted to talk to you guys about the stuff I've been reading. I have a pretty good pile here of the stuff that I've been reading since the last time I checked in, and I'm gonna go by theme. I have a few cozy books, and then I have some things for the Prairie Trail Readathon. I have my cup that I'm pulling out, hopefully if I remember, for every video for August. And this is from Heppner, Oregon. It says home, Heppner, Oregon. That's where I was born. That's where I grew up. And I lived there as a young adult for a short time. I was the editor and journalist of the newspaper. And that was a dream. And then my husband's job made us move away. But anyway, that was back when I just had 2 kids. That was pretty fun. But it's just kind of a cozy little place that I love and is always home. And my mom got me this mug. Tonight I have orange juice with ice because I don't know, it sounded refreshing to me. Yeah, I had to take that ice bucket out, and when I came in on the first floor, there was an ice machine, so I filled up my water bottle with ice. When I got up here to the 3rd floor, there was an ice machine right outside my door, and I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. So I got all my stuff together, got everything unpacked, and had my slippers on, had sort of pajamas, what I'm wearing right now is sort of pajamas. It's a dress over pajama pants. And I had my hair up in a dorky bun, and I went out to get ice and took my key with me. But the ice machine doesn't work on this level. So I was like, all right, it's fine. So I go down to the 1st floor in the elevator, hoping nobody will see me, and get some ice, come back upstairs, and my key doesn't work. They gave me 2 keys, and I grabbed the second one, and apparently it didn't work. So took it back downstairs, had to get the guy off his phone so he could pay attention to me, and then he's like, it should work, and you know, the whole thing. Now it works. Now I'm here. I'm gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Okay, let's talk about the books. I should have got more than one bottle of orange juice. Yum. Okay, first book, and I had just gonna start right out and say I only gave it 2 stars, and I'm not trying to make this a complaining video, okay? This is gonna be a fun, happy, positive, uplifting video. When you walk away from this video, you are gonna be so blessed. All right, first book. I read Summer Pudding by Susan Scarlett. This is one of those furrowed middle brow books that I'm loving. You can tell because of the little like cottage. Everything's in a cottage, right? All the book covers are actually in a cottage. I think that's so cute. So I've been trying to collect these and read them, and I'm just kind of randomly picking them. I picked this one because the title had the word summer in it, and I'm trying to find something redeeming about summer, and so I picked this one. But when I got all done, I was kind of like, why is it called Summer Pudding? Because it's not about a pudding. Like, there's no pudding. There is 0 puddings in this book. So then I got to thinking, well, maybe it's kind of like a mess. And it's like a play on the dessert summer pudding, which is an English thing. Like, I'm not saying we don't have summer puddings around here, but we don't call them that. But in England, apparently, a summer pudding is a thing, according to my research, according to my online research. And so I thought, well, maybe it's like here where we say, you know, you're going to have a mess of something. Like, you're going to have, like, say you're going to have, like, walking tacos on a plate, right? Like, curl up tortilla chips, and you're going to put all the taco fixings on top of it, and then, like, that's a mess. So it's like a mess of something to eat, right? Okay. So maybe it's like the summer pudding is what we would call a mess. It's all mixed up. Maybe it's like fruit and nuts and whipped cream and marshmallows. My mom used to make fruit salad like that. So maybe that's like a summer pudding, and it's a big mess because in this book, all the plot lines come together at the end in a really big mess before they get resolved. That's the best I can come up with. I know I'm totally stretching, so somebody fill me in. I kind of did like a, what's summer pudding in slang? Like, what does this mean? I couldn't find anything. So if you guys can fill me in, that'd be awesome. But anyway, the book itself, the only thing that was really bad, like at first, was like, the first third of it was just really boring. It was like extremely boring. It took a long time to really get me even interested. And interested probably isn't the right word. It's probably more like it got me, took a third of the book to get me to have an emotion. Because the emotion that I had was just furiousness. I was furious at one character. Actually, I was furious at 2 characters. One character because he just kind of like manhandles this woman who is working for him because he wants her to do his bidding. And so like, she's trying to sit outside and enjoy her lunch, and he like yanks her up by the arm, like makes her walk with him. You're going to eat inside with the rest of us. And she's just like, I don't really want to. And he's like, I don't really care. Like, but of course that makes her fall in love with him, right? Because we are Charlotte Bronte reincarnated. Like, I just really have a problem with writers who write toxic male behaviors as something to be attracted to, right? Charlotte has a way with that, and apparently Susan Scarlett does as well. If you're not aware, Susan Scarlett is a pen name for Noel Stratfield, who is a writer of children's books. She wrote like the Ballet Shoes and a bunch of other shoes books. I've never read any of them, but she's more commonly known by her, maybe that's her actual name, I don't know, but she's more commonly known by Noel Stratfield, and then she wrote adult books under this name, Susan Scarlett. So that's who this is. She's the first time I've ever read her. Not saying I won't again, but it's a huge red flag to me when an author makes toxicity of anyone attractive, whether it's male or female. It's just that it tends to be the male, right? Definitely toxic women out there and poor naive men who fall for them. All of it's bad. In fact, there was one part where, let me read it from my Goodreads. She says something like her response when he pulls her up and says, no, you're not going to sit out here, you're going to come sit with the rest of us. Her response is something like, she's decided to subdue herself and be more docile, so maybe he won't be so mad next time. No. It's not how it works, ladies. Unfortunately, that is how it works in a lot of cases, and it's really sad, and we don't need to be promoting that, right? So that was a huge turnoff for me. It didn't make me want to read any further. I did finish it, of course. The last 20 pages of this or so were pretty good. Like, everything fell apart in a huge crumbly mess. And then the author put it together really well. Like, I feel like this author writes a really great plot, but her dialogue and the characters she writes leaves a lot to be desired. So I'm probably not gonna really try to look for her anytime soon. All right, then I started reading the misread, if you know, you know, Thrush Green series. So I've read Thrush Green, and then this morning or last night. Well, it was this morning, but it was like 12:30 last night. I finished book 2. All right, so book 1 is Thrush Green. It is so sweet. I really loved this. I really loved this more than book 2, actually. The story is set in the village of Thrush Green. It's just a cozy look at life in that village. It doesn't have like a specific plot. Instead, it just kind of hops around to look at different sort of vignettes, like just little moments, it's kind of like a soap opera, right? Like an American soap opera where you get like 6 or 7 minutes with one character scenario, you know, and one person's house or whatever, and then it flips to somebody else's house and shows what they're doing, and then flips to somebody else's house and shows what they're doing, and you get like 3 or 4 different sort of scenarios going on, and then you come back around again and see what that person's doing now, right? It's kind of like that. And so it took a little bit, like I really had to focus and like want to understand this, but thankfully I recognized pretty early in that that's what was going on with this book, that I wasn't going to get a plot, that I wasn't waiting for some big, you know, huge thing to happen, that I was really just reading little snippets from people's lives. And once I sort of settled into that rhythm, I just loved it. I loved so many of the characters. And this book, it's not, I don't know, like I want to say it's cozy because it is, but it's also kind of melancholy. And I found that with book 2 as well. It's like, it's not all just happy, sweet, sappy, wrapping up with a bow, and you know, everybody comes together at the end for a happy tea and scones or whatever, like Father Brown. It reminds me a lot of Father Brown, but they don't always wrap up nicely. Like some of the things that happen in these books are real things. And so it gives kind of a melancholy tone, and there are villains and there are characters that just sort of love, but they also have some really bad character traits. There's just it's just a real honest look at a village, and I'm adoring this series. I brought 2 more with me, so I don't know if I will read all these other things I brought or just settle in with misread again. This one, Thrush Green, the stories center around a carnival that has come to town, and it just felt so nostalgic. Like I could remember just that feeling. Like I pictured in my head, like my older childhood years, my teenage years of being at the fair, being at the carnival, especially at night. It was just like so free and fun to experience my whole community out in this one small little place behind the baseball park in our town. And the smells and the carnival workers and just everything. It was so exactly like it was for me in, you know, the 90s. So another thing that I liked about this particular first book is that it's told in a really seasonal way. The book starts with the first scene in a morning when someone's waking up, getting out of bed, and then the book ends with a scene where they're going to bed. It's the evening. And then everything inside is divided up into morning, afternoon, and evening. And then that corresponds with different characters' lives. You have some that are just, young children just being made aware of the community around them. You've got romances in their early days. You've got people just starting out a career. Then you have kind of like the afternoon of life where you've got people that are around my age and they're just kind of like happy and chilling and living their life, right? Working their jobs, doing the daily routine of parenting or marriage or their, whatever career they're in, like just kind of hanging out in that middle spot. And then you've got people who are facing old age, they're facing terminal sickness to represent that evening of life. Thinking about those themes, I just thought that was just so well done. It really caused me to think a lot. And I even teared up at one point. And I never cry at books, but I did get a little teary-eyed. Frustratingly, though, when I finished it, like this little voice in my head was like, wait, just don't start the next one. Just hold off a little bit and just sit with this. But I so much wanted to start the next one that I went and grabbed what I thought was the next one and read about 30 pages before I realized I'm actually reading the 5th in the series, which is like horrific, right? Isn't that a horrific thought? And so I have several spoilers already for the series until I get to book 5. And one of the spoilers starts as a completely opposite situation in this book, book 2, which is Winter at Thrush Green. So that was so frustrating reading that line, that storyline that could have been really joyful. Instead, I know what happens later, and so it was just hard to I didn't enjoy this book as much, but I wonder if it had something to do with the fact that I knew that this one of these major storylines actually goes a different direction. This one seemed a little bit more melancholy to me, and I think that, like I said, in the first book, it was very seasonal, right? And just the seasons of life, and I think that maybe it's because it's winter, and so she was just kind of going with a melancholy theme because most people, or some people, feel like winter is a melancholy time. Boy, that sun is getting me, making weird things on my face, isn't it? Let's see, there we go. I personally love winter, and I think summer is more melancholy, especially when it's 100 degrees outside. But some people really feel that way, and so that's it kind of felt like that reading the story. I did still enjoy the story. I'm looking forward to moving along into book 3. Okay. So let's move on to a different theme, and that is the Prairie Trail Challenge, which I'm actually not really doing the challenge. I'm just reading Oregon Trail inspired stuff. So I made a video before I do that. I made this video at the end of July talking about what I had thought about reading for August. And in that video, I talked about things I might want to read for the Prairie Trail Challenge, right? So I showed you guys several Oregon Trail-esque books. Well, I completely forgot that I have a whole shelf in the kids' school area full of books about Oregon and the Oregon Trail. And so last weekend, I just suddenly remembered. And so I went and got them and started reading, and there's a lot, actually. And so I brought quite a few with me. I don't know if I'm going to read them while I'm here, but I did look through these ones I'm going to show you. So this is something that I made in... How old was I? It says how old I was in here. This one I made in 1989. So this folder... So 89 I would have been 10. Yeah, I was 10. And so we did this Oregon project, and this folder was full of Oregon stuff that I did when I was 10. So here's a map, and this is where I lived at the time in Hermiston, up here, the very north. And then the only other thing that's in here from when I was 10 was this. And these are different symbols, like pictographs. So we were learning about pictographs. But also stuck in this folder is this thing, which this one, on one of these pages, I write that I'm 7.5. So this would have only been in like, so I guess that's like 3rd grade. Okay, and this entire packet is like these same words. We're learning the words for the colors in one of the languages of the Umatilla Indians who lived near us. But every page in this packet is just these words. And I'm just telling you, this is why I was a bored little kid. Because every packet, every page is the same words. There's like 15 pages here at least. I'm like, so anyway, these are the things that bored me as a kid. I feel like it was busy work. And I have rants. But being how it was 40 years ago, I should probably let it go. But anyway, okay. So that's that. That was fun to find and look through. Okay, and then the other thing that I found on that shelf is this coloring book. Little Bears Go Visiting, more than a coloring book. And it's somebody, it's probably a homeschool mom in the 80s or early 90s, made these coloring books based on different like sections of the US where different tribes lived. And for this one, it says an authentic North American Columbia River Plateau Indian clothing for special times. And these two moms, and they have like this little message on the inside of it that talks about how, you know, of honoring God's creation and the diversity and things that he made. Actually, this was 1985, so yeah, that was even earlier than I thought it was. But all of the pages are this bear dressed up in different authentic costumes of different tribes of the area. This one says going to a Chelan wedding. So like Lake Chelan up there by, I don't know, it's kind of not really by Seattle, but it's a couple hours east, maybe a couple hours. Here's one wearing a Nez Perce basket hat. So they dress these bears up in these costumes that are authentic to our area. And I got this coloring book, I guess, when I was a little kid. I never colored in it. These are the Click Attack Indian outfits. Anyway, there's a bunch of pages in here of different Indian tribes that were in our area. Warm Springs, Ellensburg. And these are ones that were actually from our town. The Roundup, Cayuse and Pendleton Roundup. I can't tell if you can see that. There we go. So super cute. So I might color in that a little bit this month. I might actually make photocopies. That way other people can color on them. Because this is just one of those things that like, it's so, like, where do you get this, right? It's just such a rare and interesting thing. And so I just think that's such a little treasure. Love that. Okay. Then finally, the last book I read is this. It had a dust jacket once upon a time, but not since I've had it. And it's called Homesteads and Heritages, A History of Morrow County, Oregon by Giles French. Morrow County, Oregon is where I grew up. It is where Heppner, Oregon is part of Morrow County. It is in northeastern Oregon. And I wrote all over this book. Like, this book needs to go like in the fireproof vault or something, because I left so many notes in here of just memories that I have. This book is full of the ancestors of people that I know the ancestors of places named after, the places that I know were named after people in this book. It starts with the first pioneers to Morrow County, Oregon. And what happened, I mentioned this in my tag video yesterday, was that the end of the Oregon Trail was in the Willamette Valley. So the Willamette Valley is a little southwest of where I grew up. A lot west and a little south. But anyway, that was the official end of the trail. Now, people dropped off the trail all over the place and set up homesteads all along the trail. And much of the places that I am familiar with along the Oregon Trail in Eastern Oregon were the result of that, of people dropping off the trail and setting up, especially over climbing over those mountains, like they were done. But some people went ahead and went all the way to the Willamette Valley. And then as it got, filled and overcrowded, nothing like it is now, right? But they would start moving back east again. And so that's where a lot of the pioneers to Morrow County came from, were people who had settled in Willamette, and then either them or their children started heading back east. They were very interested in the kind of land that was there. Apparently it was really great for sheep grazing. There was a lot of families from lots of different cultures that settled there. A lot of Irish, Scottish, Swedish, German, some French. The guy they named the town after was a German Jew. It was just really interesting to me, actually, to see how many different ethnicities and nationalities were featured in Morrow County. And so this book just started at the beginning and went all the way through until the author's present day, which I think this was published in 1971. And it talked about those first families and the different ways that they set up their farming. And some of them were mining, and some of them were, like cattlemen, and just all kinds of different things that it just talked all about the very beginnings of the community, and them coming together, and them building homes, and them starting different crops. And while it does focus on this particular county, and you would get probably pretty overwhelmed with all of the name dropping and place name dropping if you weren't familiar, it's probably a look at any pioneer community in Eastern Oregon at the time. You can probably just insert anybody in there. And it was just fascinating to me. I learned so much. And I do think that knowing like every canyon, every backcountry road, right, every name of the old schoolhouse that was at this hill and now has moved to while I was reading it, I was texting with my mom and her best friend, asking questions, and her best friend's family actually is one of the original settlers. So I was writing notes about her in the book, and I just really filled it up with a lot of notes for, myself, future descendants, whatever. So I think like this book is pretty special, but it's also pretty personal, right? I can recommend it, but if you didn't live there, right, you're kind of be like, I think you get a lot out of it as far as like looking at pioneer life, but it is pretty heavy on the name dropping, which probably would get frustrating if you didn't know any of those people or places, right? Anyway, that's my wrap up. And now I'm gonna get a snack and probably edit this video and then figure out what I'm going to read. I have a lot of choices here. Maybe that was a bad idea, but I didn't want to run out of books. All right, guys, I hope everybody's doing well. I will see you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.